Trevor, good to have you on here. Thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Jacob.
Just starting off with you here, where does your relationship with music begin? Where did this kind of take off for you? Going all the way back to where it began.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint an exact moment, but ever since I was like 5, I remember seeing a picture of, or it was actually a little card, like almost a trading card that we found at my grandparents' house, and it was Elvis, and I just became
It's a good
obsessed with
card to
that.
have. It's expensive rare run. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it was. We probably have that somewhere, but I don't know. I just had that, and then I remember, and elementary school, I always wanted to play a different instrument. I was like, oh, I want to play trumpet, you know? And then I just never could make a sound out of trumpet. I don't know. I would just get like, I was like, I got to learn this thing. Like I just saw pictures or something. But then I heard in fifth grade, this is kind of funny, but I heard a T-Pain buy you a drink. You know that song?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
And I know it's
Classic.
weird, but that that melody or something did something to me, kind of like made me, it was like my uh getting my cherry popped. And then I was into like,
Through
I
auto
don't know.
tune. Sure. Sure.
Yeah, I know it's very strange, but and then after that just got into everything. I started playing guitar and all those things, and you know, just started exploring. And then as time went on, got into more, and people would show me stuff, got into more improv stuff. It was always just a continuous journey of meeting people and I'm being turned on to new stuff.
Hmm.
And then also I will just add, like, one of my first concerts that sort of really inspired me was I got to see AC/DC in 2008. You know, the Black Ice tour. They're big,
Sure.
kind of big. Yeah, they're big, like kind of come back in the 2000s. And I just
Oh, they
remember
they
seeing
came
that
back all
show.
right. They certainly did. They got a lot of money coming in from a lot of commercials and
Oh
such.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just thinking about that on the Super Bowl. It's for those about to rock. And it's just like these songs like Seven Nation Army that are just forever going to be on every sports game.
Yeah, yeah. Now in a more present sense, what keeps you engrossed in music or keeps music alive in within your life now?
I think it's just that desires never, I think about this, every once in a while. And I think the desire just never goes away. It's like this desire, it's like you can be slaving, maybe sometimes you're slaving away or something, or nothing's really happening, but you hear someone or see something, and it always happens. And it's just like, it's just that hunger, and then you just have to create, and you have to make something that you're like, oh my God. And it always feels like, for me, I hear that and I'm like, I can do that. That's
Hmm.
always my first thought. So I'm just like, I don't know. It's a lifelong thing, I feel like anything, it ebbs and flows. And I remember when I was younger, people were always like, oh, I don't want to fall out of love with music or something. But I think it's something that's just, yeah, it's like that goes back to when I was 5 and seeing that thing. It just hits me at my core, and I just have to be engrossed in it. And then just all my experiences playing in bands and with Free Whenever and all we're doing, it's just obvious. Free Whenever too just keeps me super excited. And having an outlet like that, I just want to constantly get better and improve and add new skills to it as well.
Do you think you would be as attached to music if you never ended up making any? Would it still be a pivotal cornerstone in your life now?
If I never played or
Hmm.
anything, just
Right.
never. Yeah, I believe so, because oftentimes I'll go to concerts and I go through periods where I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I don't like, I always have music on.
Hmm.
I love music and I love hearing new stuff, and I love going to concerts of all kinds because the energy. And sometimes, and I hear this among other musicians too, I'm almost like jealous of some of the people that I'm just like super fans of a band or something. And they're just like so involved in this community, and that's such a beautiful thing. And I think, this desire to create and be the one, that's sort of creating that experience for everyone is it's sometimes, more isolating in a way because it does require you to spend a lot of time on your own or with maybe one or two other people. Um, so I think I would probably be even more involved in like live music scenes, honestly.
Is it different when you attend a concert as opposed to being the person playing the concert? Is it kind of two different sides of the same coin there, or is it all encompassing? Like this is an energy that is reciprocated either rather being on stage or watching the stage.
I think they have a lot of similarities, but there's definitely, if I'm just going to a show and have no attachment, right, or to any of the logistics or all, that stuff we have to deal with, I it's just magic usually. And it is like going on stage, but it's more I don't know, there's no stress. Not that like there's always like on a show day, there's always just a little bit, there's all something always goes wrong, whether it's traveling gear or just like anything, or even just like some small interaction happens, with someone, because you're dealing with a lot of people and you're meeting a lot of new people every show. And I don't know, when you go as a spectator, yeah, it just feels really freeing. Like you're just like almost submitting to whatever they're going to give you.
What was the best show that you attended?
That's a big question.
I know. I was kind of saving that one in the back pocket, but I feel like this is the time to ask it.
Yeah. No, I have some definitely like for like all right, I'll just I'm this isn't the best show ever per se, but one show I just want to shout out quickly is I recently saw Lettuce at the Capitol Theater.
Lettuce, okay.
One
I'm
of my
not
favorite.
familiar with them, but
They're greats, they're legends, they're funk masters.
oh, okay.
Like the Mott if James Brown band, his like band continued on,
Oh, wow.
just brought it to the new dimension and really created this whole new honestly like sonic production around it. But anyway, just incredible shows, and shows like that are just the best. But I'll have to say there's this show I always come back to. I saw this band, the London Souls.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever the lead singer and guitar, it was a duo, drums and guitar, kind of like the Black Keys or White Stripes. But the lead singer now plays with Slash.
Ah,
He's like his singer or something. But anyway, I just saw this band. It was like a small local festival. I'm from Connecticut. It was in Connecticut. And I remember being like, no one there. And I was younger. And I just, again, it goes back to like my early memories of just seeing pictures of stuff. And they just had the vibe. Like, I was just like, wow, these guys are living it. And I'll just never forget. It's hard. Like, I just have so many like photos of that show in my memory. But I just remember feeling like it's kind of like that ACDC show. Like, I want to do this. And
yeah.
that's like the highest a musician can go, is inspiring someone else to do it. I think that's what it's all about. And that's what I try to do every time I am doing a show. And I like to put
Hmm.
myself in positions where I feel like, yeah, I'm like turning people on and inspiring them. And, that's honestly one of my favorite things about playing live is when
Hmm.
people come up and like, hey, I might start fucking, because I like, I think a lot of musicians get lost in like technical stuff,
Yeah.
but that's not really where I come from. And, I come from like that riff is sick, and it could be the first riff that someone learns to play. It doesn't take away from how great that riff, that's perfect riff.
Right.
So that's the way I always view it. But
Let
I
me
want to
yeah,
list more shows. I'm
no,
like
hey,
trying to
man,
think now.
if any come to you, if any come to you at any point, you go this one too, please.
Yeah,
Um, but let me ask you this. Do you think that the earliest like chord progression or riff or whatever it may be, equate that to any other instrument? Do you think that that initial step is a key part of who a musician turns out to be or what they end up sounding like or producing from that point forward?
like say the first thing you
Mm,
ever learned.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've with other musicians, we've joked about like on guitar or bass, if you pick up say someone like Jimi Hendrix old guitar, you play like him because of the where he put his fingers, like it maybe dug into the frets more. So it just like naturally does that stuff. But I don't really know. I because so my first stuff, I'm trying to think of like maybe even the first. I remember learning U2 Vertigo. Remember songs like that? Uno. Like I was like, because I was like, oh, I think I could learn this. And I guess I mean it has to in a way. Like I also learned so much blue. I was very steeped in the blues. And I always feel like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely like come from that ilk, even though I don't play maybe blues straight up in like my original projects. Um, and yeah, it's through repetition, right? I think even we talk about improv a lot, and a common fallacy is we think improv is like, just, oh yeah, this guy's an improvisational genius. He just made that out of the blue. And the reality is he's probably played that before, practiced it before, worked on it. It's not like, oh yeah, it's just like magic. I like we think like that, but the reality is it's through repetition. So
Hmm.
I guess that is, true to a degree. Most people like learn smoke on the water, right? Down, down, da, 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 da.
We're gonna get a copyright on that, but that's fine. We'll deal with that later.
Yeah.
That yeah, that is interesting what you were saying about improvisation or bringing something to the table and that I feel like I heard something about like Bill Evans speaking on that, like or
That's where I
his
think I got it from. I'm not
okay.
like this isn't again, it's like
No,
what
no, it's an original thought, Trevor. I appreciate you bringing that original thought here. Yeah, I mean, because obviously maybe not the whole of improvisation, but a lot of improvisation for people is rooted within jazz, which is
Mhm.
always something that um, it seems like the more I research and talk to musicians and this sort of stuff, it always comes back to jazz in some
Yeah.
form or another, which is which is always something that a genre that I didn't appreciate when I was younger, and then like as I'm slowly like learning, like oh, this is what this is, or this is what this is equated to, or whatever it may be. There's just so many strings attaching to that specific genre,
Mhm.
as important as blues is, which is also another huge cornerstone to this
Yeah.
that went on to birth rock and roll and whatever else. Jazz is also equally as influential, it seems, to people, whether they know it or not, or whether whatever their starting point is, it goes back to something that traces back to jazz, perhaps.
Yeah, it's American music. It's
Hmm.
probably the only like I guess the blues and stuff is but it kind of has roots in Africa and all that stuff. But like the jazz was really an American language.
Yeah, that
That's
and
why it's so
Sublime for sure. Yeah.
sublime. Yeah. Well, that honestly, fast forwarding today, I think years from now, we see these like with the Grateful Dead, like with Sublime, we are seeing these new genres kind of come out of the legacies of these bands and stuff. And they
Hmm.
are kind of like, yeah, genres, not as like jazz was, I think, allowed for more room.
Hmm.
Like jazz, that's why it's such a powerful thing because it's infinite.
Yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
and I think the Grateful Dead kind of have a little, we'll see. That whole scene is just
Yeah, well, and
Um,
that's because of the CIA, but
yeah,
whatever.
Jerry Garcia.
And Bob Weir, all of them,
I,
Pigpen and
we could
these in
talk
these
about that
lords.
too.
No, we're not going to talk about that. That's on this podcast. And let me going back to like American music for a moment. What is like a quintessential like that is an American musician or band? What comes to mind when if somebody were to ask you that, like pinpoint a uniquely American musician?
Uniquely like Robert Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the blues and stuff. But you go back in jazz, it's Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, and Count Basie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those were really the big three that talking about jazz, like really, you know, started that language and gave a platform, like, or had success enough where they could sort of get these musicians, and then the musicians started getting more noticed as well. But then, you know, I guess unique, like later on, I heard this thing on like Rick Beato. You ever watch that? You know
He
that channel?
he pops up on the YouTube, but
Yeah,
I skip him a lot.
he has so many, but
The master himself, Rick Beato.
yeah, the master was like I think like Leonard Skinner or something was, considering rock bands, and I think that's pretty, that whole southern rock thing, or like
Very American.
the Allman Brothers,
Sure.
very American. Um, I don't know, but I really feel like the blues as a whole, you know, like I mentioned Robert Johnson, but guys like Lightning Hopkins, uh, Muddy Waters,
Sure.
all the
Yeah.
Kings.
Yeah.
I think
Wait,
that is
run it down. BB King, uh
Albert.
Albert King, thank you. And
Oh
who's
yeah,
the
who's the
third?
last king?
Oh man.
Oh man, this is embarrassing.
We're getting into some deep stuff here.
Oh yeah,
And we're not gonna look it up. We have it in our brains, Trevor. Tell the people that we know what we're talking about here.
it's on the tip of my, yeah, exactly.
And the third one, Albert,
Albert BB
not Marcus.
or Mar. He's
The
the new
more
king.
more recent
He's the
king.
new. I didn't even think about that.
Aside from American music, was there any other music that was really informing your early language within music, we'll say?
Yeah, I always, on the internet just find random stuff. I feel like I don't know if I had any like memories of like a world music. I'd listen to like Indian music or all this stuff after I got into I heard Miles Davis's In a Silent Way,
Oh yeah,
and
fantastic album.
that
Yeah.
was the album that really opened up everything.
Wow,
And
okay.
because before then, it was like T-Pain and like I loved music, but that like opened up jazz and like improv and unique rhythm, like just getting out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I love Pink Floyd and stuff, but I don't know. I always was just scouting. There was like bands like Malkovich Dance Band. That wasn't when I was super young, but all this like kind of Europe had a lot of bands that were super inspired by African rhythms and stuff. And just hearing all of that, and Fela Kuti
Oh yeah.
turned on to him, and I saw the Ginger Baker, the drummer for Cream and stuff,
Hmm.
a documentary made about him, and it was all about his time living in Nigeria and stuff, and that really turned me on to that. And then that's been coming full circle. That stuff's really been coming back, especially with my bandmate Neil. He's been really getting into that more recently. So it's funny how it's coming all
That's
coming back.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good I can't remember Bela Cootie's drummer for a large stint of his thing, but he is just
Tony
an
Allen.
I think so.
Actually
That's
saw
not
him
that's not
live.
great. You
It
saw him
was
live.
kind of it would, but it was before I knew. There's so many musicians and stuff, and like even with this King thing, like you amass this knowledge, because
I'm
we
still
love it
thinking.
and we
Yeah.
respect it and we want to honor it. But
Hmm.
at that time, like I didn't like my friend who was a drummer was like, we gotta go see Tony. I was like, knew about Fella and all this stuff. I didn't know him and stuff, but we were at Newport Jazz. I used to go. It was really cheap and they never sold out. It was like so I got to see so many great artists. Christian Scott. I don't know if you know.
I'm not familiar with them.
It's
No.
more in a jazz world, I guess. But yeah, I saw Tony Allen, all this stuff, just like all this stuff that just like blew me away. How like I just when I don't understand music and stuff, like that's when I love it. I'm just like, wow, like what is this? It feels like magic, like they possess powers. And I guess that goes back to what you were saying about being on stage versus being an audience member.
Mm-hmm.
And also about like what you grew up on listening to, right? Because
Yep.
their rhythms
Sure.
and stuff are just like, yeah, just next level. And really the spirit of it also comes from a different place.
Yeah, this the music that you hear, maybe not you put it on, but maybe your parents or what you're exposed to early on, those rhythms really, I think subconsciously, especially if you wind up making music, really have an effect. Maybe this is a theory that I'm just working on right now, but
Mhm.
I think there could be some validity to it,
It would be a
perhaps.
good book, like studying that.
Okay, so we're gonna write the book. So yeah,
Yeah.
please just keep an eye out for Trevor and I's new book.
Harper
We're
Collins, be on the lookout.
yeah, we're working for it. So yeah, just stay tuned. And it's not a coffee table one; it's a big encyclopedia sort of a thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be eight volumes.
Yeah, I mean, we were signed to 8, but we're probably gonna do more. We're probably gonna re up on that.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna go ham.
yeah, stay tuned. Uh, so I know that you'd mentioned this your current band Free Whenever, you're playing bass in that band, and
Mhm.
you had mentioned previous to that that you were kind of interested in all these different um instruments, and I've seen some clips of you playing guitar, and
Yeah.
obviously you're playing bass in this band. Is there a major difference between every instrument that you have picked up or at least have played to some capacity? Or do you kind of look at it all as like this is serving the same sort of cycle of music?
No, they're all very different and they bring out new different pieces of like each musician who plays it,
Hmm.
because yeah, like, people see guitar, electric guitar, electric bass and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I can play," but it's a different instrument, it's a different mindset.
Yeah.
It's different frequencies, literally, right? That's what
Yeah.
makes.
The hertz, right, is
Mhm.
different. Okay.
Yeah. And it's and I guess in the role of a band too. And it's flexible, right? I don't think about these as like rigid, oh, this is what you have to do on this instrument, but you occupy different spaces,
Sure.
again, with the frequency thing. And yeah, they totally make you play different, and I think the best thing a musician do, especially like a musician who plays a more lead instrument, like guitar or maybe a horn player, is get on the classic rhythm section instruments, piano, bass, and drums, because it just really teaches you about the power of repetition and like what an idea is, but also like, yeah, just serving the song and serving the music instead
Right.
of getting caught up in the instrument so much, right? Like, because the way we like to play a lot is almost with a producer mindset, because we love producing. And it's a mix for sure. Sometimes we are players and do it in the whole thing, but it's really about yeah, trying to make the whole thing into this beautiful sound or experience.
Yeah. And the three of you working in the same capacity. That's
And I'll
good.
also
That's
add, I
great.
grew up playing a lot of I guess you've seen, I grew up playing a lot of finger style guitar too, and like blues, and I really loved all that stuff. And that stuff taught me a lot about, you listen to Robert Johnson and stuff, and it's almost like the Fela Kuti and all, just like these rhythms are so foreign. You know, that music was recorded literally almost 100 years ago now.
Yeah, just about I think like 1925 is what
Yeah,
they
it's
thought. So like
probably literally
101,
100 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
100 or just touching 100, yeah, which is
And yeah,
crazy.
which is crazy. But the rhythm, this the way they approach everything is so, playing any even style, I feel like it really, it's all music and it's all from spirit and like wanting to, and passion. I think
Mhm.
that's the through line. But definitely each instrument and situation and style of music brings something different out of the musician, at least out of myself for sure. And I
Yeah.
think it's made me more appreciative of everything. You know, I've never been like a guy who's like only into technical stuff, so I can only speak for myself on that. But like,
No, you're speaking for everybody. This is
yeah.
it. This is the final say on this. By the way, Trevor, is it Freddie King?
Yes,
is that the other one? Okay. Okay.
yes, you
All right.
got it.
Okay.
I can't believe we forgot Freddie. I'm
No, we
going
didn't. We
down.
didn't. We no, we saved best for last. Best for last.
Yeah, he
That's
was
what
the
it is.
best.
Um, yeah. Sorry. It finally
No, I
came to
was,
mind.
yeah, no, we needed to save us from that.
No, going back to your band, Free Whenever. This started with yourself, and Neil Gugliera,
Gularia.
Gularia. Okay, I think I said it right that time. Apologies to Neil, but so this started between yourself and him.
Mhm.
How did you guys kind of get together and start this at the origin of Free
Yeah,
Whenever?
we had a mutual friend who would kind of, put together bands for events or maybe like a wedding, different things. And we played some like wedding, after like the part, not like the actual wedding, but the party. And it was like up in Vermont. And I was actually going to Newport Jazz with my friend that weekend.
as
So
as you do. I mean,
yeah,
if anybody knows anything about your lifestyle, Trevor, you're hitting the Newport Jazz on
we're
the
hitting
cheap.
Newport Jazz. And so we went, we were like, great, we can go up there, have a gig, do the thing, and then just drive down and camp out for the weekend. And that's where I met Neil. And it was super fun. And we didn't, we just went and did a bunch of covers and like, he was like,
It was
what song?
his wedding. Let's
Yeah.
just
And just had a great time. And then so I made that connection, and then fast forward a year and a half, and that same friend who put the band together just like messaged me. He's like, look what me, and he's like, I put a vocal on this beat or whatever that Neil made. And I listened to it, and it was the first time I had listened to someone's recording of like someone that I knew or had met. And it just sounded, and it was different than it was more almost electronic, and like, Tame Impala was, Currents was super big at that time. And but there was just something there I heard that was like, this is really cool and it's unique, there's something in it. And I just had to meet him, and then I went to his apartment. I got my buddy to connect us, went to his apartment, and then that was it. It was just instant chemistry, because I think everything we just discussed, we just aligned on like how to make music and what we want to make. And yeah, and I think Neil is just also a very, very talented, and we've come to learn, very talented mixer. And like we all produce and like have input on this stuff, but Neil's definitely like on the mixing and sonic side. He's very unique and like very talented. And I heard it that first recording, and it was very different, but that's really what brought us together. And then started making music just nonstop. It wasn't even, we just love making music. It's going back to what we said at the beginning. It was just like, I don't know. We just had, and we'd gone through so much. I played with so many great people, but he was going through a time like, just like making beats after work, and he would go meet someone, he would tell me, and 9 times out of 10 they just were not good. Like a lot of people we met in New York City were just not that good or just like couldn't do what
And
we
we're
were.
gonna name them. We're gonna name all those people right now, and they still live there, and they're prominent. We'll just say it. It was fucking geese. That's who it
Yeah,
was.
it
It
was,
was.
yeah, Cameron Winter, that was.
Apologies to geese. I know that they listen. They're big fans of this podcast. We're only joking here. Um. Anyways, please, sir. Yeah. So it just wasn't the right fit from what he was doing prior.
Yeah, we just couldn't, meet. Like we just are very loose and we just make music, and like I don't know. There was a lot, I think a lot we come at it music first. I think a lot of people in like these, when they get to bigger cities, kind of get sucked up in a lot of the other stuff, and that starts to influence how they make music. And
Yeah.
I see it over and over again. But we just had this thing, we couldn't make a thing that was less than 15 minutes for like 2 years and stuff, because it was just so free and natural. And then we put like an improv album out, and it did well on YouTube. And this lawyer, all this stuff happened, and then that's when we were like, oh, and then it just kept growing, and we were just like, people are really like this. There's something here. We feel it. We've always felt it. But from day one, it's just been that. And we always knew it wanted to be a live band. So Neil would actually do all the drumming on the first few recordings.
Hmm.
And we'd kind of like improvise together on guitar and bass and piano and other things, just over loops and stuff. And then it was a very strange, yeah, it was very, we were just doing whatever. And a lot of like, more knowledgeable studio people would literally tell us, like everything's wrong. And it
I was gonna
is in a
jokingly
way.
say it's like, oh, everything's wrong. But with that that early experience of doing that, it's like, well, you if you don't know any rules, you can break them all and then find something new within that.
Exactly. I think we didn't know, like, we obviously play music stuff. I think the recording side just felt so free, and like, yeah, we didn't have anything that was like chaining us about how things are meant to be recorded or something. And it goes back to that, when Neil sent me that thing, I was like, I don't even care about if this is technically, it's something. And I like, I just can't stop listening to it.
Yeah, there's something that people who are not technically proficient have within their playing and how they
Mhm.
approach music that cannot be tapped into through a more musically advanced person coming from like a schooling background or
Mhm.
or very technical music theory or music theorist, I guess,
Mhm.
to put a kind of a blanket term over that. And the reverse is true too. Very technical people have these other muscles that other people who aren't advanced in this don't have. But
Totally.
to kind of have a balance between the two seems to be the the approach that everybody should be gunning for. Not you guys, but like, geese or something like that, some of those other people.
Yeah, I gotta call it geese.
Geese.
Are you a
Now,
geese fan?
I do. I really. I mean, I'm saying this jokingly. I really don't have anything against them. I really don't know their music that well. I just know that they're really big. I keep on seeing like things,
Yeah, they
memes
got
about them
really
and
big.
stuff, and
Yeah.
I do not understand it. But you know, more power to them. It seems like a lot of people are digging their music. I hope that they're making some money off of it as well.
Yeah.
You know, if people are digging them, who am I to say? Even if I didn't like them, to say, oh, well, I don't like that. Well, what does my fucking opinion matter?
Yeah, that's the
It's a
way I,
subjective art. Yeah.
yeah, and I always thought it was, know, again, I think with like when bands get a lot of hype too, it's obviously there's a lot of competition and all this, stuff. So you get a lot of hate and stuff, or like people are like, I don't like this. But I was like, I'm glad there's a band that's getting a lot of attention, that's, not making Like I know AI music's a thing now, but honestly, for the past decade, I think a lot of people have been making AI music. Like they're recording it, but it's like, it's no different to me. I think bands like Geese becoming popular is refreshing,
Hmm.
and cool. And that, the rising tide's a rising tide. We always
Right.
say. So
Of course, of course. And of course, I do love to see bands. I mean, they are a bigger band now, but I like to see bands that aren't like a really big, like a lot of backing sort of industry plant sort of band,
yeah,
like which they don't seem to be. Kind of get some momentum and some
yeah,
praise. I really like that. It's like, okay, you guys are like genuine people. Like
yeah.
you're
They're
not
not like pop stars that were signed at 12. Like that's the
exactly.
biggest thing. Like
Hmm.
that's what I can't get behind personally. I just, again, what you said, it's hard, we can't shit on people, but it's
No,
like,
we can, and we do it
yeah,
at the Patreon. Please join us there. We're gonna be naming a
yeah,
lot
we
more
have,
names there.
yeah, exactly.
I know that you had the list of people that it didn't work out with
Yeah,
Neil earlier on. So
yeah,
yeah, we're really gonna
we're
be
gonna
going
drop
through.
that.
We're gonna be dropping that list. Yeah. But again, I'm not the authority to go, hey, this is a bad band. Well, the stuff that I like, people might not like, but whatever. It's
Mhm.
if it brings you joy and happiness, it shouldn't, I guess is the point I'm trying to
Yeah.
make. Music should
No,
not be
I'm
enjoyed
I'm
at
so
all.
guilty of it too. I think we all, because that's, music's like your identity or your taste in music.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that seemed to be a larger point in these previous generations of kids who are coming up. It's like who you listen to find who you were, which is sort of kind of still the case nowadays within this digital realm.
Hmm.
And you see it now with the Spotify Wrapped and everything. Like people make jokes and stuff, like, "Oh, you listen to 15,000 minutes of blah 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 or whatever." But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that people still do find a lot of their identity within the music that they choose to listen to.
Yeah, I think it's just less segregated in terms of like,
Yeah,
oh, you
definitely.
listen to rock, you can't listen to disco, or your friends are gonna not be friends with you because,
Right. Yeah, it seemed
like,
very closed off. It's like if you listen to rap, you're not gonna listen to
yeah.
jazz. It's just
Ex-
like, but now the floodgates have opened up on that, which I really like.
and jazz, that's actually a great example. And I'm not a jazz musician that can say like, oh, I've been through the scene. I'm a fan of jazz and inspired by it,
Yeah.
awed by jazz musicians. But one thing I've noticed is there is what I think has kept jazz back and heard from people involved in that scene is some of you know, the figureheads are very traditional. And
Right.
we saw this thing with, guys like Robert Glasper and Thundercat on Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly. And there was that moment, but the jazz like heads didn't really embrace it, and even going back, a lot of jazz guys wanted to play with the Grateful Dead, but it was like this, you know, you were kind of looked down upon after if you took that gig. I've recently read a book about the Wrecking Crew too, who was all these studio musicians in 60s LA and all that stuff. But Carol Kay was a jazz musician and she needed money, but it was this big thing. Once you took sessions, you aren't a jazz music. You're not living the life, and like
Yeah, you sold out or something. It's like I
there's
need
so
to pay
many
the bills.
rules. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Even in the freest music, there's still like a lot of these rules and stuff
And restraints
and
too.
restraints. Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like that is perpetuated through uh music universities. It seems like I talked to a lot of people that have like attended these sort of things, like, well,
Mhm.
it has to be this or else it's not correct. And it's like, well, you're already just funneling it down into like what you perceive to be correct,
Yeah.
which is insane. But I guess that's what college is for anyways.
Yeah, I
So
think it's a mixed bag too. It's not like everyone, it's like anything. It's not like everyone who thinks like that. I think, I remember being in high school English class and getting in a fight with a teacher because some poem. She was like, this is the meaning. And I was like, that doesn't make sense because my meaning is different than your meaning. Like, we have different lives. And we got in this whole thing. And she was like, no, it's this. And I was just like, that's where I come from. I come from like everyone has a unique experience with it. So I really can't say. I think there's certain things that are right. Like if I'm showing a friend how to play an instrument and they're new, right? Or maybe don't know, like there are certain things I want you to like hear, you know. But again, listen to Captain Beefheart, listen to
Don't listen to Captain Beefheart. I cannot condone. I'm not. That's where I'm gonna put my foot down. I kept my mouth quiet about the whole ACDC thing earlier, but you know what? That's a bridge too far. No, I mean whatever. Trout Master?
Yeah, Trout Mask Replica and
Trout Mask Replica.
Safe as Milk. He had a lot of great albums after too that are more. He tried to go mainstream in a way too, but uh Captain Beefheart, uh the man was actually an artist, a visual artist, and I think he brought that to the music, and that's why it's so fascinating. He's not a musician, but he would.
I this is not surprising me one bit. I've heard some of his stuff. Maybe you should have kept with the visual stuff. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. That's very mean, and I don't mean it. Going
No, I
back,
love it.
I don't love it, but
No,
that's
I
fine.
love
That's
your that's how
I
you
know,
should be. I love
I know.
that. That's,
I'm
yeah.
I'm trying to be objective here. That's or maybe I just haven't hit it at the right time. That's also possible. What I going back to the Wrecking Crew for one moment. Who was that? Do you remember that guy's name? The drummer who was on a bunch of stuff. Hal something, I believe
How
his name.
bland.
Yeah, that guy rips. He's on so much stuff. Like as soon as I learned about him being a part, I was like, oh, he's in this and this and this and this and just so much stuff. Really great. Much like fellow Cooties drummer too, and Ginger Baker for that matter. A lot of. I'm not trying to be a drum heavy guy this episode, but I'm just saying
Drums
learn.
are everything. That's the number one thing, 100% in all
Hmm.
the music we make. I think I'm where the reason we have chemistry is because in my band stuff is because yeah, we all come from that rhythm and groove back. Like that's what it's about. That's what we love. And
Right.
anything I can get in anything that has that, I
Hmm.
think. I just think a lot of music today, a lot of pop music, it's been eradicated for some reason because that's like, you know, what I like.
They said, oh, Trevor likes it. We gotta
Yeah, they're like, we
pull the
got to get
plug.
rid of
It's
this.
time. We gotta get it
We
out
got
of
to
here.
make everything just not groove.
Right. Right. Which is very difficult to stop the groove. But they're doing their darndest, but you're not letting it happen, and
Yeah.
you're doing your part.
Yeah.
Now, speaking back on your project here, Free Whenever. So it was yourself and Neil for quite a long time, and then Brendan
Mhm.
Stewart, who is the drummer, finally came in. Did that kind of switch things for both yourself and Neil and the band in general, the way that
Yeah,
the dynamics worked? Yeah.
for sure, but in a good way. Like the band, we always, we're live musicians. We always want to play live. And it was figuring out, once the thing started going and we were like actually recording and we were like, oh, like, this is a band. And then it was like, yeah, we wanted drummers. And we had a bunch of different people we played with, and they were all great. And, but, it, I don't think any of them really fit. Brendan just like, came in. It was just so natural. And he brought in his influences like dub and reggae. He's like really great drummer at those styles too, which is very hard to find. And also like to find people that all love that stuff and want to play it is not common nowadays.
Also difficult as well to find.
Yeah. And so we actually the first time we played together as Free Whenever, like uh, maybe we jammed random, never as a group, but we played and we recorded it and put it out, Jam Junkies Volume 2. And that was the first time. And yeah, it was just like, I think after that, we started just recording more. It's always been about getting it more immediate. So, like, just recording more live, you know? And then we're really trying to get a live album out. I really want to get one out this year. We're just trying to figure out how to really record it and do all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I doing my research on this band. Just to use a blanket term here of like natural, like naturalistic sort
Hmm.
of tones, and just the way that and what you just described of everybody meeting and kind of just getting together, very natural sort of.
Hmm.
um is it it's difficult, it seems, to get that state of like natural playing and performance, and get it from a live setting, which is where this band is rooted in,
Hmm.
and bring it onto a recording. Do you find that to be a difficult feat of like everyone felt it here, but it's hard to transition it for like a listener who's listening to it a year and a half later on vinyl in their room, and they weren't in that space in that time with the
Hmm.
the three of you producing it?
I don't feel that way. I don't know. It's because we've always just done it all, at the same time. I feel like it's just been this. I see some musicians are like, more nervous about recording or something. Our philosophy has just been record everything. So I feel like we never feel like, oh my God, or like, it always feels the same way. I think playing live in front of an audience, though, it just like will always bring about something. And it's a different energy in a room too. Like maybe even you rearrange some stuff, right? Because it's just, that's why I want to get the live album out there because I want that side of things to be, people can listen to it if they want to because there are people that prefer that stuff. When I was growing up, I went through a period where I definitely would only, if a band couldn't play live, I would watch a live video or recording first. If they couldn't, I wouldn't check out any of their music. And now I'm totally, not off. I love studio albums and all that stuff, but I was like, it was
I was
very,
really hoping you're gonna be like, and I still stand beside that now.
yeah. Well,
Nowadays, I'm not listening to anything that's a straight recording.
yeah,
If
like,
it's
but that's where I
tracked,
come
get out of
from,
here with
you
that.
know?
Right,
I've
right.
definitely come from like, I was more of a purist in a way back in the day. Um, but yeah, I think for us, for me, it's just like, or more so in free whenever, because I've had different experiences recording and trying out stuff. And, before this band, I was like recording like folk music and stuff. But I always say there's like people that are meant to be solo artists and people that are meant to be, I'm meant to be in a band because collaboration, it's an endless well for me. And I love how it always, even if you present maybe a piece of music or something, I love how it evolves and like, because everyone brings different flavors to it.
Hmm.
And that's what it's about in my mind. That's like the Miles Davis in a Silent Way. It's like, hey, we're gonna have two, let's just see what happens. And then he found those moments, and put them on record. But he just, that was the process. He was just like, boop, I'm not gonna talk. Go. The lights on, and you're all like, holy shit, I have this insane gig. I don't want to be the one that messes up.
Yeah.
And they just play. And I love that idea.
Lot of pressure there in
Yeah.
that scenario. Do you find yourself or any pressure within making music, or getting something out there, or getting something down, or whether it be in a live sense? Is that a piece of this puzzle for you in any way?
Yeah. But it's more like our own pressure, I guess.
Not from an
Like,
outside force, but an inner circle of people.
yeah, it goes back to the even make the desire to make music. Like even we just finished another album and it's just like we're working, there's a lot of stuff you have to do in addition to the making the album, and then all the artwork and all these different things. So we're in that stage with it. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like because you want to just the music never stops. Like we could make if we didn't have to like package everything or to get people to listen to it or whatever, we just make so much music. Like I can't even fathom because it's like every day. If I pick up any of us pick up something, but like I think that's where we all come from. It's just we start playing and then it's like, oh, and then you write an idea always. It's never good or bad. It's always coming out, you know.
Mhm.
I because yeah, I don't sit down and I'm like playing this one. It's like, oh, maybe oh, I heard this thing on the radio and you try to copy it, but then quickly you're just like off working on a riff or something or a new chord idea or whatever.
Right. Now, aside from the stuff that was put out on YouTube, was the first thing from Free Whenever the volume 001, was it like the
Oh yeah.
first, like, here it is sort of a thing?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and that one has, a lot of me on guitar on that one too. Um, yeah, that I forgot about that.
So that was kind of the first, like, here it is. So for lack of a better term, legitimate, quote unquote, like not a live. It's like we came in here with this thing.
Yeah,
And did that kind of just get start the ball rolling in regards to just releasing more and more music? Because after that, it seemed like it just kind of started piling up. Like here's this,
yeah.
here's that, here's this, whether it be a single or a little bit of a like a 3 song thing, whatever it may be. Did that really start start getting the gears moving?
Yeah. So, that actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like I said, when Neil and I met, we were just making music. And, I have memories of like listening back to this stuff. And I was like, we did it. I was like, we wanted to make some psychedelic music. And I was like, oh my God, like listening back, I just remember being like, wow, you know? And, and I think, what Neil really brought to the table for me too, as like a lesson for me was he's just so he can like schedule and be like, he's like, hey, we're making some stuff. He's like, okay, we should do like a little thing. And if it was just me and this is what happened, well, I need to collaborate, I would just go on forever and then there'd be a trail of a million tracks. You know what I mean? And so with him, it was really like, oh wow, we can make an EP and stuff. And then so we made that. And then after that, we did this like 3-part kind of epic song called Floating Away. And then we started the improv albums. And then it became an EP like album and then an EP. And then it just kept going. And we love making recordings and albums. So it's just like, yeah, we just want to do more of that. Like we have about like 6 hours of music out now. I want to have like, there's no reason it shouldn't be 10 right now, especially with live stuff and because that's what it's about. I feel like it's about just sharing, all the different aspects of it. Because even if I don't, maybe I'm like, oh, this is okay. It's like someone else, it could be their saving grace, and the thing that gets them into music or what we frequently experience that.
I don't know, but I no, I'm just kidding, Trevor. Yes, well said, sir. Now, uh, of course, it's a 3 piece, but I hypothetically, if there was another player, a fourth member, maybe another guitarist, whatever it may be, do you think that that would significantly change the sound of the band?
I think it would change the live band.
Hmm. Which is a
I
very
don't
key
think
component.
it would be a percu and we've had in the past, early stages as the band got more serious, I think wise thing we've done is keep it a trio,
Hmm.
because especially doing more and talking about money and putting out record, all meeting up, it's like one of our greatest strengths. Honestly, you could have as a band trying to do more stuff, but it would be a percussionist and slash multi instrumentalist, and I think it would only, yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think as long as whoever that may be uh shares in the vision and aligns with it. We don't really, we're very one thing that destroys a lot of bands is exactly what you just said. Like just being like, oh, I see it a lot with people who are like, oh, come sit in, right? Come do this. But for me as a spectator, a lot of times I see that I'm like, what's this band? Like, what are you saying? Like, it's just great. A lot of musicians that play really good. What band is that? That's a musician. When I think of musician, I think of that player. Oops, sorry. So I think it's very important for us to like, it has to be like someone where we'd be like, you need to be, we're all connected.
By the way, full disclosure, I was sent in to help destroy the band, but it didn't work, so I guess we'll just move forward then. um, yeah, so this, I mean, this kind of got off the ground from what I understand, 2020. Was that the kind of
Yeah,
the
like
year?
yeah, it was like 2019 and 2020, and then when COVID, it definitely opened up or like the world shut down, but it definitely was like, okay, let's make some music. It allowed us to really, looking back on it, it was a period where we're just, every band needs those periods. And that period went on for a few years, but like those periods of just like you're just hanging out every day, making stuff, fighting over the stuff, maybe even we had many just like, what are we doing? You do, when you start to go deeper into something, you do face these questions eventually. But
Mm-hmm.
it's, you just keep going and it becomes so clear. And the more we've done it, I think the more we've just become free whenever, like actually. And yeah,
Where did the name come from?
it came at that COVID time. Uh, and I was living with a girl, and Neil would like text me, um, when are you free? And I'd just always be like, free whenever, right? It's like it's just COVID, the world shut down. And I remember reading this thing a long time ago about, to find a band name, like just go up, if you have a band name idea, just go up to people, and just be like, yeah, have you heard of this band? And getting their reaction on the name.
Yeah.
And everyone I asked, no one was like, that's not everyone was like, oh, I got to check them out. And I was like, it's, people believe that's a band. I'm like, and then it's so funny. Yeah, it just worked. And I think I think you choose a name or it chooses you, and then you kind of grow into it. And yeah, super happy with the name, but it definitely just came from that text messages and being like, oh, what if it's, that's kind of our, what we do, we just, we're free whenever to jam and just make music, that's really where the spirit of the whole band started.
Yeah, yeah. It's going back to kind of that natural thing that I mentioned earlier, like natural, free, this sort of thing. And I read that one of the driving factors in the band is to fully immerse the listeners into a synthetic sound experience.
Yeah, synesthetic sound experience,
Synesthetic.
like synesthesia or
I read synthetic, but that's probably me just trying to destroy the band again, so just disregard that, I guess. Um, with that being a key factor in it. Does that kind of this idea inform or help inform what's going on with the band and what the three of you are bringing to the table?
yeah. And I think there's times too where maybe we get off track or we're just exploring new identities as we grow,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely always comes back to like, we're an experience, and
Yeah.
every time I play a show, where we play a show, and Brendan actually really brought this to my attention, it's like, you know I'll go off topic for a second here, but like when
Please.
we also started, we play a lot on the street, or we'd play outside these, like a hookah bar. I had this relationship with a guy, and we played this, when the marijuana dispensaries were opening, but kind of right before there was this little period, and the guy who actually made that Ginger Baker documentary, the director, he opened one and we would play there all the time. And we just like, I think that's, yeah, it was. And then we'd play, maybe a bar somewhere. But it was like quickly apparent, like that's not where the music lives, because those highs we experience aren't just because of like, oh, Neil picks up a guitar, I pick up a bass, and it's just like magic. It's like the energy in the air, or maybe the audience. It's like all that together is what creates that um, immersive experience,
Hmm.
And so I think we're really at this stage now of prioritizing, like finding those places where that experience can be had by all, and where the music is really, it's hard to have a full immersive psychedelic music experience at like a dive bar sometimes. It's not possible, but I'm just,
It's harder
I,
to tap into.
yeah, it's hard when people are, you got the regulars drinking. It's harder to be like, let's go on a journey.
What is a band that when you hear them, you're kind of brought into their world in that sort of vein of like, oh yeah, here's their operation, and I'm a part of it.
Yeah, one band, a more contemporary band. I'm speaking for all the other guys too. Is Surprise Chef. If you've ever heard
Yeah,
of Australia,
yeah, they're
uh,
great.
and they're everything they've done, and they're definitely a little, more on like the soul and classic vibes with some of the stuff, but their whole operation and seeing their videos, and it's exactly what you're saying. Like we would watch their videos and be like, wow, these guys just roll out of bed and they just have their studio and they just roll tape and they only record the tape and they're just on their and that was their ethos. And yeah, those guys and the way they ran their label, we really want to do similar things and kind of build, or whatever that may look at like for us. But I turn on everyone to them. They're amazing.
Hmm.
And
And
also producers like Leon Michaels, Vel Michaels. And
mm,
he's done a bunch of projects, but he runs Big Crown Records now, and he's a
okay,
producer and all of that stuff. Very inspired by, but then also a band that we actually went to their last New York show on their last tours, Kiki Gaku Moyo.
I was gonna say geese, but okay.
I gotta go see Geese. Like, honestly, because I'm like talking about energy. It's like there's a crowd energy there. It's probably a good time to experience it or not. Sometimes that can make it worse.
Well, going back to the book, we'll probably put it in the book later on about the direct experience of seeing geese. And let me ask you this: do you refrain from listening to other people's music when you're working on music, your own music,
You know,
whether
I
by yourself or with the band?
Yeah, I think not really. I've heard that from a bunch of people, and people always like, "Oh, I don't." And I think maybe I have periods where, like, if we're working a lot on music, I'm not listening to as much music because we're working. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, but no, I always turn stuff on. I'm always inspired by stuff. Even like, there's a section of this song, Jonas the Shaman, with this cowbell. And I think I was just literally like the radio, and it was like a Motley Crue song, Live Wire.
Hmm.
And there's just this part, and it's just like it's things like that. I'm of the belief like it's anything, it's gonna hit you, and then you're like, I need to do exact that feeling I was saying at the beginning, like I can do that. Okay, how and then you're just get all excited, and you turn the music off, and then you go do your thing.
And then you go, I can't do that, and then you go back to the music that you're listening to
Yeah, and then
before. I
you're
understand.
like, I give up, I give up.
um, for those who might not be as uh, might not be as informed to your music, or maybe a new fan of your music, where do you point people in the direction towards to be like, this is a good jumping off point? What do you suggest people listen to? The
I think
the
our
kind of
last
early or first time listeners.
I think our last record, the most recent one, Ascension, and also the album right before it. Oh, I'll just say the last record, like to keep it simple. But yeah, it's really, as the band has come on, the last few albums are really that combination, and that's what we're striving of the free form and playing in the street, right? And all that stuff combined with the studio and like having our own sonic sound and trying to make like, tighter songs too and compositions. So these last two albums, I really think they synthesize that all together, and we're going even further into it. So
Fantastic. And you want people to join you on the ride.
yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, one thing I think, like, playing in a band, and sometimes you're like, oh yeah, what are we after? And it's like, because we're not after, like, with the music, it's not like we're trying to, be like, this whole situation with like Wasserman, like, I don't know if you've been following all talking about the Epstein files. Um, but
We
all
just gotta
that's,
tread lightly, is all I'm saying. No, but
yeah,
please,
exactly.
please, no, Watchmen. I'm not familiar with this name in the.
They're one of the there's just like there's the big three of record labels and stuff. It's the same with talent agencies and booking,
Uh-huh.
and like every festival and all this stuff. It's all pretty much comprised of these agencies, and they're the biggest one.
And
And
yeah, Wasserman is.
yeah, and he
Okay.
was named, and the artists are dropping off their thing like flies right now. It's honestly, you should look it up. It's the thing happening right now.
Oh,
But
I'll be looking into that for sure. Yeah.
it's just when we play those shows, like it goes back to when we put it on YouTube. Like really feel like our music is good and does people, like, we obviously love it and love doing it, but it connects with people, and I see that. And yeah, and I think it's because we just want to make the music we want to make. We don't want to. We're not trying to. Here comes the pop record. You know what I mean? It's like no, we're doing what it's vibes. And it's like, hey, hey, we worked on this thing. It's a labor of love. I remember at some those, gigs I was saying that were like maybe not the vibe. We got comfortable just saying that to the audience, being like, hey, this is what we do. Sorry, we don't play any covers. I know somehow that's a jarring thing nowadays, which is crazy to me because if you look at the history of music, I feel like it's been and talking about indie explosion in the 80s and 90s, it's like that's what they fought for, to play our own music.
And I'm
And
not
somehow
gonna go
we've
against
circled
you.
back.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go
So,
against you on this, but Trevor, there are a lot of covers that really were solidified as like the originals that people even forgot that were originally covers, though. That's
yeah,
also a big point in that. I'm not
that is
saying that
true.
I mean I'm well, this is what I'm saying. I'm one of the regulars at the bar, okay? Just play Freebird and get on out of here. No,
We've had some.
I do understand what you're saying, and that is a great point there, Trevor.
Yeah, I just think it's, again, I've done a bunch of covers. I think today though, with there's an imbalance, and it's a lot of factors, coming out of COVID, and the whole music industry from all levels is being completely rebuilt in a new way. People don't know where everything's gone to crap.
In a more negative way, we'll say then
Yeah.
than net positive. Okay.
And I think a lot, like cover bands are like allowed people to, like, you can guarantee more tickets, and we're just living in these times. It's kind of a reflection of the times, like nostalgia and all this stuff.
Of
And
the ASCAP times.
yeah, and yeah, it's just but it's tough. Like, I wish, I want to champion like talking about that Wrecking Crew book, artistry was championed at that time. I don't think musicians or artists were better in the 60s, 70s, but I do think artistry was championed, and it's not being championed right now. And that's why we're not, you know, people aren't uniting on all this stuff. And well, like an example is like, yeah, band gets popular and then everyone kind of like it becomes like a meme or a joke, kind of this ironic thing when I'm like, why can't we just be like, damn, like someone made that and it's not AI, you know?
Yeah, that is an unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in. But in order to kind of get it back into at least, and this is not just a positive for you, you're saying this is a positive. What seems to be, and this could change, of course, as everything could. This would be a positive shift that you're proposing here, of
Yeah.
kind of championing these smaller musicians, which is what this podcast is kind of based off. It's like, hey, these people are making great music, and please go and support them. It is really important to support smaller musicians and Trevor, I really appreciate you coming on here, sir. But help me help you real quick before we end it here by promoting your stuff and telling people how they can support your band.
Hell yes.
Free Whenever's music is streaming everywhere. Wherever people get their music, that's where they could find you. The newest album, Ascension, can be bought through the store, which is at store.freewheneverband.com.
Hmm.
And it's also where people can find the other albums, and all the merch
Yep.
is also there. And people can also support the band by visiting the Bandcamp, which is at freewhenever.bandcamp.com. Those are two great ways to go support. And if you can go see them at a show, that's also another great way to support, and make sure that you buy merch there. And people can stay up to date with upcoming shows by visiting the link tree, which is at linktr.ee / free whenever band. That's always updated, I believe, or that's the
Hmm.
best place to check out for these things, and everything else, upcoming shows and tours and releases and all this good stuff. Can be found through the Instagram, which is at free whenever band on Instagram, and all these links will be linked below whatever anybody's listening to this on. But Trevor, did I miss anything? Is there anything else that we got to inform the people about before we cut you loose?
We're playing, we're working on a lot of shows this year. Haven't really announced a lot, but one we do have announced. We're at the end of this month. We're playing in New York City at Soho Live with Kendall Street Company. It'll be a great show. So anyone in the area, please come out. You can get tickets, as Jacob just mentioned, on our website or the link tree.
Link tree, and it has below. So just go ahead and go below, and even if you're not in the, I always like to say this, even if you're not in the New York area, just buy a ticket if it's not sold out day of, just to
Yeah.
sell it out. Just do that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to promote that more for the, it's like, hey, if you see if we're promoting a specific thing and it's not sold out like an hour before, just start buying those tickets until it's
Yeah.
sold out. Okay, please.
Yeah. And then yeah, go around our website, like you mentioned, freewheneverband.com. It has everything. You can learn a bunch of stuff and sign up for our email list. And yeah, if you come to a show, buy a vinyl, we'll sign everything. We'll hang out with you. We like to
Also,
hang out. We always hang out.
the a good hang is has to be, it's that's a cornerstone of a good
It's
band.
part of the experience of going to the concert.
That is,
It's,
and some people are against the hang
I know.
afterwards.
I've had, I think, playing with different people, or coming up, you learn like what you're about. And you see other people and you're like, why are you, this is what I love about it. I love the hang. I love going and talk this. I love, thank you, Jacob. Like I could do this forever. I love talking about music. This has
Well, yeah, well,
been
join
so
us on the
awesome.
Patreon because we're really going to get into it there. I mean, I have
Yeah.
not forgotten about saying the nasty people in this industry that don't know about music. Um, no, well, Trevor, I really appreciate you coming on here. Yeah, please go and support the band below. And Trevor, you're the man. Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop recording this and I'll talk to you in a minute. All right.
Bye.
All right.